Dearest gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the town. We are your effervescent hosts, your neighbourhood-friendly Kiwi touch from Middle-earth, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her birthday era.
Happy birthday week to Patty. She is fabulous, but we won't mention numbers.
I feel like I've gained wisdom. I'm happy. Do I ever want to be in my 20s again? No. That was drama. I mean, there's some things I'd like to relive, but I wouldn't want to have to go back and do the whole thing.
As of this time of recording, we're recording on the 9th my time, so it is technically Patty's birthday tomorrow in New Zealand land, but in
2 days for me.
In the land of the sad, it's 2 days.
And trust me, I don't even need to do a countdown because a certain dragon who turned 50 on February 27th has been counting down for me. I just don't think he likes when he is older than me.
You mean the person who works in quantity surveying or something of the likes, like counting numbers? That's such a surprise to me. Dragons like
quality
counting.
Assurance.
Well, same. Quality assurance.
Quality assurance.
Same. Yeah. Settle down onto your favorite city as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the ton. This Bridgerton podcast is two friends talking romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and what were you even talking about again? Was it deep? Was it shallow? Was it deep? Was it shallow? Who would even know? We tangent so hard, we don't think we know anymore. Diving into the connections of our favorite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers.
First of all, that would have been the one. The next one we're recording more. Dearest listeners, we take a journey through side stories today. We're watching Tilley entice Benedict into a whole new world. Lord Anderson surprises Violet, and both realize there's something there that wasn't there before. And Araminta schools Cressida about the poor unfortunate soul cut by their foray as Lady Whistle.
Araminta would absolutely make a fantastic Ursula.
She would have been. I actually see her more as what's her name from
Cruella de Vil?
Emperor's New Groove.
No, Cruella de Vil.
Well, she'd be a good Cruella de Vil for sure, too.
Because the clothing style.
True.
Yes.
True.
Oh, that would be a really fun episode to do.
Snow White, the evil queen.
Patty, that's it. That's our YouTube for this week. What Disney character would each character be?
Oh, the villains, though. We can't do both. Just villains.
What Disney villain?
Okay, while you're writing that, let's go into pod snacks. I'm having a bit of moderation today. I made taco soup today. Yes, guys, it's Sunday, and Patty made a soup. So I made taco soup. I love taco soup. I usually, like back when I was keto, I would make a taco soup. I could eat it for days, and it really does help with weight loss. But I'm doing the bean thing right now, so I did add beans to it. Super yum. I've been eating on that today. But for our podcasting, I got some fruit because I need some anti-inflammatory properties. So I had some pineapple. I have some mandarin oranges I might snack on. And then the moderation part, I got my favorite ice cream from Handle, the praline.
Tash is going to eat all the snacks today because Tash is in rage mode about her body.
We're both mad at our bodies today.
Despite the fact of walking now, I've been walking every day for the last 8 weeks now. And I'm up to doing between 10 and 15,000 steps a day. And despite that, my body decided this week it was going to put on weight rather than lose, despite the fact that I've gotten rid of all my favorite pod snacks and my McDonald's treats and cut down my quantities and trying to eat more regularly and trying to sleep better. My body says, F you very, very much. So F you to not eating pod snacks, and I'm going to treat myself to some maple bacon chippies today.
Well, you're saying one thing, and I mentioned 4 because, but yeah, like this is the life of, for me, it's lipedema. I've diagnosed Tosh. She's not sure if that's what she has, but I'm kind of sure that's what she has. And
don't tell my insurance company.
A body with lipedema really struggles with weight loss. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't operate like science says it should. So it is very frustrating. I also have been doing the bean protocol, and I've been really watching what I ate up until my surprise party and my sister's wedding. But I didn't eat a lot. Like even at those functions, I curbed my gluttony, we'll say. I curbed myself, and I still, like, due to inflammation, which part of that could be food I ate, but part of it could also be the extra movement with an injury creating inflammation, but I gained a significant amount too. So yeah, we're both the same boat. And I told us like, yes, go back to eating snacks.
I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to starve myself and be fat, I may as well just enjoy my food and be fat, you know. Yeah. All hail the potato chip.
And I just want to put out there, like, she's doing this for herself and her health, because Steven really does.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
he does not care. He's like, oh, you're on a health kick right now. Okay.
He is absolutely supportive no matter what. He's like, as long as you keep like at least some booty, we're good. We're good here. Like I need, he's like, I need the booty, but like you do you, boo.
I need something to squeeze.
I don't think we're ever at risk of losing this booty. Like she could lose half the booty and still be plenty of booty.
Oh, I already know, by the way, my boots, that even if I got down to my ideal weight, most of it was.
Speaking of booty, we will jump into today's episode, but we have
news
to do first.
Well, I don't want to say there's no Bridgerton news, because there is, only, and I'm calling you out here, Kay, because it's partially your fault. Kay decided to wait until all episodes dropped to watch.
He was waiting for marriage.
And you know, she's not newly engaged anymore, but she's still in her, you know, between the engagement and the marriage. And remember, Portia said you have to make that man feel like he's the most important thing in the room. So she waited for him. She forgot about her Bridgerton besties. And now, to be supportive, she's posting all these videos that we've already shared, because we've been in the Delulu since January 29th. So she's gotten me confused on what is current and what is not. So I'm going to need until our next recording to do Bridgerton news to really be able to write it. Well, if you want to talk pod news,
yeah.
Okay, let's do some pod news. Just in case Tosh messes up the music, she wants us to announce.
Thanks. Di is distracting me with questions about chocolate. Yes. So because we are now jumping between one episode per week doing season 4, one episode per week doing season 3, I have differentiated the music intro and outro so that you can know, you know, if it's just playing through and you're not sure what episode it is, you're going to hear a different intro music for season 4, and you will know, hey, this is season 4. I don't want those spoilers yet. And you can just press next if you know you're going through a few of them or whatever. Just press
like
next,
if you want all the 4 ones together, you can do that. Like by them listening, you'll know. To.
Yeah, so that if you're just driving in the car and the next one comes on, you're like, oh, I don't want to hear this yet. You then can differentiate. So thank you, Patty, for finding us new season 4 music.
I created.
Thank you, Patty, for creating us some new season 4 music. I am
like it's our own music. We made it for ourselves.
This is a season. No, I'll leave it for the episode. I was like, it's the little dancer friend, so it's okay. Okay, are we ready to make haste into today's episode?
Let's dive right in.
Because that's exactly what Tilley's doing.
Because as soon as we get through recording this episode, we have a few really awesome episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we're still in the angsty era. So let's hurry up with this one. We will still get down in the nitty gritty, guys. We need to get through this and talk Stagnite.
Well, Tilley's trying to get
to the good stuff.
Tilley's trying to get Benedict to get the nitty gritty too.
Yes. Benedict, well, and I'll say, like, I think Tilley means well, but she makes a move that is completely emotional manipulation.
There is so much emotional manipulation going on in this episode. Like, so let's start with the fact that she writes him a letter. Do I remember?
Well, she leaves a calling card.
A calling card, yeah.
Because it was short. It said, "Let me explain, Tilley." Like, that's all it says.
Mm-hmm. Which I completely understand, because it could have been intercepted by anyone in the Bridgerton family. And if it had explicit information in it, that's putting them at massive risk, you know, so it does.
And her saying that, because she had just shown up to the engagement ball, the family will just think, oh, they must have had an argument or a disagreement and not think anything of.
So Benedict turns up to Lady Tilley's foyer. And can we talk, because last episode in maybe the season 4 episode, I can't recall right now, but you were talking about the cinematography and kind of the placement of it all. And the place that she chooses to have this sit-down chat and we talked about this a little bit off screen, but not just, it gave me Harry Potter vibes. Like, it didn't look like a place that there should be a settee and a whole, like it kind of felt like hidden under the stairs, like a dirty little secret that they're discussing. Like it wasn't that intimate. Let's go up to the bedroom and talk, and you've got thoughts on that. But it wasn't, let's go up to the bedroom and talk. Let's go into a study. It wasn't like, because even if he wanted to keep it professional and give him the space to make his decisions without pressuring him in, you know, an intimate setting of a bedroom or the privacy or whatever, it still felt like a very clinical exchange, the place where she chose to have this interaction.
It looks like a waiting room.
It's under the stairs.
Well, it's at the base.
Well, it's under.
But here's my thing. I don't think she had a choice in the location. I think Benedict showed up. The butler or housekeeper went to go get Tilley to announce a visitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Benedict sat down. He didn't follow, because when someone comes to visit someone, they can follow the person, not upstairs necessarily, but to a point. Like, and we're going to talk about in one of the next scenes, like when Lord Anderson comes to call, he obviously followed Mrs. Wilson at least to the base of the stairs, because he was pretty much right outside the door once Violet was prepared.
Yes.
So he didn't wait at the door, but whomever went to go get Tilley, she had to come to Benedict. There was no bring him in, put him in the drawing room. Like, think about how Penn said, go put the visitor in the drawing room. I'll be right there. There was none of that business.
I don't know. To me, it just felt like, I mean, Benedict is still proper. And if the staff had said,
he's angry.
Yeah.
He doesn't appear angry, but he's upset and
he's definitely
confused.
Upset.
So I think he plopped his butt down in a settee in the foyer and he made her come to him. That gave him a sense of power in a way, because he felt like he left that last scene powerless. Like, he was confused and didn't know what was going on. So he wanted to keep some sense of dignity and have the upper hand in the conversation. Because you see, she comes in, sees him sitting there, and she walks over and sits next to him. So my guess is that she had probably already told whomever, like, said, have Benedict in the drawing room. I'll be right there. And he's like, nope, she can come right here. Because he wanted somewhere public, not too far into the house, so that he could, if he needed to leave and escape, he could quickly. And he wanted her to know they weren't friends again yet. There was no drawing room. There's no study. There's no bedroom. Like, I'm going to... And just the way she, it
just seemed like a real choice, because anyone could have walked into that area of the house, because that's not a private area, and overheard a conversation.
I think that's the point too. I think he didn't want it to get too deep, because even when it got to the point where he was admitting things about himself, it was hard for him. He was wringing his hands and he was stalling, like, in his speech. So he wanted it a little more public in the house, thinking she's not going to speak about stuff like that or speak like that in front of the servants, because Benedict has always been aware of the servants, unlike other gentry people. Like, to him, humans are humans. So he understands they're also ears and eyes, and thinking she might speak with a little more decorum and they won't have to get in too deep of a conversation.
Not to mention, like, he's now a brother to Lady Whistledown. He now knows just the power of, and after the whole...
He knows now. He doesn't know in this scene.
And the Daphne situation, how Violet sorted the whole thing by wrangling the staff to basically do their bidding for them.
Well, like, I think Benedict was dissociated in season 1.
But I think he knows the power of servant.
I think he knows the paid workers. Humans are humans, and if the gentry like to gossip, so do the servants, because it's human nature.
So Tilley starts by saying that she did intend to have a private conversation with Benedict about Paul before, but she kind of makes out like, oh, we were just caught up in the moment and we got caught. And, we have a relationship not unlike the one that you and I share. You can tell, like, Benedict's a pretty chill fella, but, like, you could tell instantly that he was unhappy with this arrangement, which is a little bit of a double standard considering how he comports himself in season 4.
About what? Wanting to have her?
No. Like, just the way that, like, he's kind of upset with Tilley for having multiple spouses, because it's okay for men to have multiple spouses and to have dalliances with whomever they wish. It's not okay for a female to do the same.
I think Benedict's issue.
He never DTR'd. boy. Come on.
I mean, I think Benedict's issue here is this is the first time he's heard of a woman having power and taking control of her own sexual life, you know? So it set him aback, and to realize he wasn't the only one because he thought she was developing feelings. I mean, he invited her to the engagement
I thought I was
party.
special.
That was not like, she made a mistake here. If she really wanted to catch feelings and start a relationship, introducing him to the whole world of Paul was the wrong way to go about it.
I actually thought it was really, really wrong of her to go to his family intimate soiree knowing that she had another partner of sorts and that they weren't exclusive. They weren't necessarily working towards something. Like that's not the kind of thing that you like in those times. You don't take a fling to that until it's serious, because like you could now be forced to marry. It was
an intimate family party, like,
but there was still outsiders there.
Tilley there. Yes, but it was still a smaller gathering, meaning Kate had a head count, right? So Benedict would have had to say, I'm inviting a lady. And what were his reasons for doing? Like, I think he brought a lady so his mother would leave him alone, because Colin is younger than him and Colin is getting married, and that was going to push her to say, what about you? So he wants to make it appear like he is participating.
No, I think he genuinely liked
a little bit. I don't think he did either. Not then. Like, I think he's developing. He got to know a lot more about her at the engagement party, and he was starting to develop a real interest in her, I think, after that point, because it was more than just sex. They couldn't have sex at that party, right? They had to entertain themselves in other ways, and he found her to be witty and intelligent and have a good sense of humor and whatnot. So I think the reason he brought her, though, was like, you know, all those fake boyfriend tropes. Oh, I've got to go home for a wedding and I don't want my parents to talk about me. So could you please come to this with me and pretend to be my boyfriend? I think it was that sort of thing. Like, I don't want my mother talking to me about how it's my turn. I got skipped now. Colin's old enough to get married. You're way older than him. I think he brought her as a red herring.
See, I don't. I think he was always kind of looking for someone that was outside the bounds of the Tom, who thought a little bit differently, who was a little bit more open-minded. He just didn't realize quite how open-minded. Careful what you wish for, guys.
He knew with her age and the fact that she was widowed and significantly older, his mother was never going to take that attachment seriously. And she did not talk to them the whole party. He did not take her to introduce her to anyone but Kate. So I think that it was just a, hey, you see me here with a date, leave me alone.
There was no chance in hell that Eloise wasn't going to interact with her, though. Like, in real life, there's no way that Eloise would have seen a interesting female widowed and not being like, I gotta know about this.
But that's why they made Eloise like so far up her own butt that she couldn't focus on anything else. Like that's Eloise's Achilles heel, right? Because when something is happening directly to her, or she believes it's happening directly to her, she can't focus on anything else in the room.
Yeah. All right. So this is when
you talk to her today, she'd probably tell you that Benedict didn't bring anybody.
This is true, actually. She hyperfocuses real hard, like tunnel vision, for sure.
Like, I thought he was there with Cressida.
So Lady Tilley's trying to kind of now state that, oh, you know, Paul and I have this attachment or whatever, but he also has feelings for men. And Benedict doesn't look disgusted, but he also doesn't look interested at all to me. Like, the way that he's kind of playing this, I don't know whether it was just an acting choice or whatever, but the wringing of the hands just screamed anxiousness, which can go either way. But up until he actually hooks up with Paul, I don't feel like the acting portrayed to me that he was kind of considering it.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he was considering it until he was sitting in his study staring at her calling. I think this is a huge moment for him, opening up about the fact, like, I think he's walking a tightrope because he wants to continue with her. He wants to repair the connection with her so they can continue their dalliance. He likes what's going on with her. I don't think he's comfortable with Paul, and nobody out in the world can make me ever believe he felt comfortable with Paul until he decided to make that leap. And I think he made that leap because of the way Tilley acted in this scene. But I felt like he was walking a tightrope. Like, he's entertaining her conversation just enough to keep her from ending it, hoping they get to a place of agreement, but not really having to get into that whole conversation all that much. So that's why I think he said, I've never thought about it myself before.
And then Tilly's like trying to convince him, well, have you ever been tempted by every woman you've ever met before? It feels like it still feels coercive to me. And when she says, well, Paul thought he felt something between the two of you, Benedict at no point confirms that. Granted, he doesn't deny it either, but at no point does he say, oh yes, I felt anything, or we got along really well. Wasn't even like a, no, it was on a friendship level.
And she even says it in a way too that, like, she goes, he thought you had a moment. Like, she's ready to throw him under the bus. If she's completely off base and Benedict gets mad, she's ready to just totally blame Paul. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I wrote in my notes that Tilley paints a much different picture of Paul than the dinner scene provides. Like, and at dinner, he appears pushy and groomy to me, but she's acting like it potentially was just a case of mixed signal. Like, this isn't what I intended. I intended to talk to you about Paul first, but then we got caught. Like, Paul got excited because he thought you guys had a moment. And she's also walking a tightrope. Like, this whole communication is like, because of where they're located, they can't speak truly open. So they're both walking a tightrope because I think they both kind of want to keep what they have, but it hangs in the air as it does through the whole scene that for them to continue, Paul has to be involved. She totally gives me that vibe. But he's very nervous. His body language shows it. He's wringing his hands. He's pressing his lips together a ton. So he's either not liking the conversation or he's not liking the topic of conversation.
Well, and the thing is in season 1, granted, he was still just getting to understand that this was a thing, your fluidity, bisexuality, LGBTQI in whichever form, right? But in season 1, he did actually have a genuine bond with Henry Granville. They had things that they bonded over. They bonded over art. They bonded over like more in depth about art, like as in capturing the spirit of a moment, all of those kinds of things, like things where soul speak to soul, right? And then they also had this understanding that they were both second sons. And with that came, no, he wasn't a second son, but he was talking about how second sons, get a lot more grace in how they can comport themselves in life. Wait, no, he is a second son, Lord Granville. No, not Lord Granville, Henry Granville. Sir?
I don't...
Because he says to Benedict, second sons get to have all the fun.
Yeah.
Bill.
I think he is a second.
Sir.
We just call him Lord because
he's a sir.
Lord. Yeah.
He's a sir. Yes. So, like, they even bond over that.
Sir could mean he was knighted.
Well, because of his artistic talents, could be.
Yeah, or second sons did spend some time in the military. He might be an artist now, but he might have some time. But military... and people with great talent tend to get knighted. For him to be a sir, I think he has to be knighted, which would explain why, a second son with that kind of lifestyle is able to still be in Mayfair and amongst the ton without anybody really talking about it if anybody knew about it.
Yeah. So but if they had Henry Granville where they actually got along, they actually had things in common, all that kind of thing. And I know I keep touting on about if it were someone different, I would have felt differently, because Paul is insinuating this whole connection that we did not see. And I don't know whether that was a scripting, an acting choice, whether it just didn't portray to us on screen the way that they think it did. But to me, it didn't even look like he was considering it. And I think that is where people are. This is mild spoilers for season 4. So if you do not want to skip ahead 30 seconds, whatever, I think this is where people are having that issue with season 4 of Benedict diving right into the deep end, pun intended, of his bisexuality, because he went from being such a reluctant, didn't actually seem like it was something that he wanted. It seemed like it was something he was being groomed into, and very much the case where he could have been pushed into it and then decided, yes, I actually do really like this for myself. But I think where my issue is how Paul and Tilley went about it. And then like once we got to season 4 and he was comfortable with his partners and he was actively going after the men and whatnot, then I was completely fine with it, because I'm like, look, this is natural now, but when it feels groomy is where I feel uncomfortable with it, which is why I dislike Paul so much. And even Tilley as well, because she also helped trying to push someone in a direction that I just do not. And whether or not he was bi, that's not for them to, or sorry, pansexual, that wasn't for them to push. Like, you don't get to have a say in other people's sexuality, because I mean, how frowned upon is it when people say, oh, I'm a gay man, but I only go after straight men? Like, people frown upon statements like that. So the same as people frown upon, I only go after married men because they're more of a challenge. Like, converting a straight man to being gay or bi is a kink for many.
Right.
And not
Well,
that
and
we're out here kink shaming, but that's just groomy.
And I have had several friends who, on their journey because we all have a sexual journey where we learn about ourselves, who we are, who we love, what we're attracted, what we like or don't like in the bedroom, right? All of us are different. And there are a lot of people on the journey as they're trying to figure themselves out, will start at the first station of bisexuality. Like most of the time, people that I know that are near and dear to my heart said they were bisexual, but they really weren't. Like I have a friend who's married now to a wife. They're two, they're lesbians. She said for years she was bisexual. And when she'd date a woman, break up with her, then she would seesaw and date a guy because the woman hurt her. So it was safer to date a guy in that period of time because she wasn't ready to date another woman because she had gotten hurt. But she really wasn't bisexual. It was just she liked the affection and the companionship, and it gave her a way to still date in a period of time where that's what you're supposed to be doing. Like all of us know, like our late teens and early to mid 20s is if you're not dating, it's kind of weird. People look at you like you're weird if you're saying you're not active, right? So it gave her that sense of societal normalcy until she met her wife that she got married to. And she's never looked back.
But has she explicitly stated, yes, I am gay? Or is it just that she married okay. Because I was going to say, just like the Benedict thing, which is why they had the scene with Benedict. Oh, I don't want to go that much detail about season 4. But this is why Jess Brunel specifically made a point of just because you marry a partner of one particular sex does not negate your sexual attraction to the other. It just means that you chose your person.
Right. So I don't see him being a mistress man now that he has Sophie, right? I don't think he's going to stray.
Well,
so.
And that's kind of the next point that I want to make about Sophie is although Tilley's trying to explain all that is wrong with the ton, the ton, and I do agree with this, the fact that she says, the ton that expects that we must make our matches within the 1,000 people that live around Grosvenor Square and that we can only find our love matches within these bounds. And I do agree with that that is a very fatal flaw, oh god damn it, fatal flaw in the ton that you can only marry nobility or people sponsored within nobility. But
and I took that as like that's kind of an allegory, because Bridgerton is an allegory for our modern society. Even though it's 1815, there is a lot of illustration and opinion within the show about how our society is, like how women are dependent on men financially, and that's the only way a man can be in power and be the powerful one in the room, and getting a wife, a good wife. Like look at everything a woman has to do to be considered, successful on the marriage mart, accomplished for men to want to marry her. And we're seeing a very opposite of that now that women can hold property, can own a business, can make their own money, can do their own thing. And we have a male loneliness epidemic because they actually have to work and put in effort to maintain a woman who's not going to be at their beck and call and make them feel like the most important dude in, right? So I believe her whole speech here, I love it because it is an allegory for our own society. And where she says about there's so much unnatural. She doesn't go into detail, but there really is. I mean, at this period of time,
love between two people is the most natural thing in the world. And even though she's trying to convince, this was my whole point of this point, was even though she's trying to convince Benedict that bisexuality, pansexuality, no matter, sexuality is natural, no matter who you are attracted to. I won't say what because animals are not okay people.
But I mean, her point where she said there is so much unnatural we're at a point in time, this point in history, a majority of nobility had serious health problems and everything because of all the inbreeding amongst royalty. Like there's a lot of unnatural couplings that are occurring, and they're kind of forcing people, like marrying for love at this point is still relatively new. It's a new concept. So her whole speech here kind of gives that vibe of, we deserve to marry for love. We deserve to follow our hearts and follow like what our bodies are telling us is a good thing.
So even though Tilley is trying to explain what is wrong with the ton, and she's doing this try convince Benedict of fluidity within his sexuality, what it actually felt was a it felt like this was an Easter egg for the fact that Benedict was going to be season 4 and kind of almost helping him on that path to realize that love is love no matter what class it is between, and that he has to learn to accept Sophie as she is and not try to, like with Anthony, I think where he went wrong was he didn't acknowledge that Sienna liked her life exactly the way that it was and that she did not want to be thrust. It wasn't like all the women who see the world of the Ton and think, oh, that's so beautiful, that's so glittering, that's so glamorous, to never have to work a day in your life. That sounds lovely. Sienna loved doing what she did, and so that's what Anthony didn't take into account, that for her to become Lady Bridgerton, she would have to give, I mean, she was never truly going to be accepted, but she would have to give up being a working woman, because you were not allowed to be a working woman.
Well, and Anthony also didn't recognize her as an actual human being until she forced it upon him, basically. Like, she's like, looking at when he's saying what he's saying about the ladies in the Ton and how, you know, I mean, he insults her to her face.
Yeah.
Right. So, and she calls him out on it, and he realizes, oh yeah, like, you are
not everyone's a lady.
You've just not had the same, you've just not had the opportunities and upbringing. But Anthony never understood that. Like, Benedict understands that you can have a quality person. What does it matter how they're born into this world, or, you know, how they grew up in this world? Because what should matter is right now.
Whereas the difference
Benedict is very in the moment.
What the difference with Benedict was, he realized that if he wanted to be with Sophie, that he would have to not go to her world, but find an in-between of going to our cottage.
Yeah, they have to
meet in the middle. Whereas Anthony was always, you need to come to me. I'm the Lord. You will do my bidding. And it was always going to be this power imbalance. Whereas I feel like Tilley is, unbeknownst to her, even kind of helping pave the path for Benedict and Sophie to be able to be a thing. And this is why I say about, like, my first relationship, I will never ever regret them, my first relationships, because each one taught me what I did and didn't want in life and helped pave the way to the relationship that I have with Stephen now. So as much as, especially the one relationship drastically hurt me, you know, it also taught me so much about myself. So I will never regret those things. And as much as Benedict is kind of hurt in this moment, I think it is a huge catalyst for him and his relationship with Sophie.
Oh, I agree. I think your relationship, usually the relationship before the one, is the one where you learn the most lessons.
Well, there was a movie where a girl, every single time a guy broke up with her, the next girl was the one, and it was something like, never the one, always the one before, was like the tagline or something of it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but just made me think of that. So this is when Tilley
you're karmic.
This is the point where Tilley does say that even without Paul, she wants to continue seeing him. But Benedict is leaning forward to go in for a kiss. Like, yes, I do want to continue this with you.
Yeah.
He is leaning in.
Yeah, she leaned in too. Like, they both leaned toward each other.
She leaned in as if she was going to kiss him back, and then is like, nope, I'm just going to leave you. I'm just going to leave you wanting more while you ponder what I've told you. It felt like leaving a kid in a naughty corner to think about what they've done, because as she gets up and walks away from him, she has like, she doesn't even look back. And she has, I rewound like 5 times. She has a smirk on her face. Like, she was so proud of herself for for leaving him sitting there wanting more. Like, maybe if I just blue balls him enough, he will agree to this.
Well, and I think her whole thing was like, I'm not asking you to be with Paul by himself. I'm asking you to include Paul in us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Paul wants him to himself, I think. I think if that would have been an opportunity, Paul would have taken it. But she said, if you're not into Paul at all and you want to continue, I'm good with us continuing. Gets him to lean in, like they both lean in, like there's passion there. But then she's like, but my staff are very discreet. And instead of continuing the kiss to seal, like, yes, we're good, she gets up and strides away and leaves him sitting there, like, not even a goodbye or anything, not even a have a good day, it's time to go. She just walks off.
That was not even
upstairs toward a bedroom.
It felt emotionally manipulative to me.
Yes, same. I felt like what her actions were saying was not what her mouth was saying. Her actions were saying, you can't have me unless Paul is also included.
Yes. Okay. So let me get through my crunchy wrap. Thank God
now we are to Lady Bennet's drawing room. Oh, wait, not Lady Bennett.
Lord Anderson.
No, this scene, Violet in this scene, right before it's announced, like, because she's not expecting a caller, right? It gives me that vibe. It gives me that Violet's all it gives me that vibe of Pride and Prejudice when Bingley shows up and they're throwing the ribbons under the pillows and everything, because she puts her cross stitch under a pillow.
Well, yes, I love that, actually. That's a really good reference. Hide everything. We don't live here.
Hide everything. We're always clean. We don't do anything but sit on our sofa.
It is such a mum thing, though, like where guests surprise you and you've got to do the panic clean, where you pretend that you don't even live in the house. Like everything has to be in its place. And it's like, please don't open any wardrobes. Don't look under any beds. Otherwise, everything's going to come piling out.
And I wrote this second. I ended up starting with her sitting there daydreaming. But I want to say this, too. There's a very short market scene where a flower vendor is selling flowers to a lady before we pan to Violet. And I feel like because of the conversation that was just had between Tilley and Benedict, and because of that power play, and there is kind of a Nick vibe to it, Bridgerton gave us a palette before we go into Lord Anderson and Violet's sweet little new romance, right? Like, it's like they had to give us an after dinner to get that taste out of our mouths before we move on.
So, after dinner mint seems to be a perfect analogy for Lord Anderson and Violet too. She's a little bit minty, a little bit zangy when she wants to be, but creamy, and he is the dark chocolate coating.
She's lemon zinger tea. She's the tea you're having. She's lemon zinger.
No. Mint tea. Because after dinner mint, she's the mint tea, he's the chocolate coating.
Yeah, you said she's because there's an actual tea name, Twinings of London, called.
I think I actually have it in my cupboard. Fair. Okay, so Sarah brought up an interesting point for season 4, but it does absolutely apply to 3 as well. So because it's just about Lord Anderson in general, she brings up the fact that she kind of gets a little bit of the ick from Lord Anderson. And as much as I haven't gotten that feeling at all, and I think he does genuinely care, I always love when people bring up different points, because then I can go back through and rewatch all the scenes and see if there's anything that I've kind of missed to then make up my opinion.
Or to see how they see that. Yeah. Like because we also, as we're all viewing as human beings, we're viewing from our own perspectives, our own experience.
With our own,
yeah. Like,
our own lenses.
I see Debling as a narcissist because he displays a lot of behaviors my ex-husband displays, where he looks like a kind, just a little socially awkward man in public. Like, there's just enough red flag there that's very similar to my husband, but I knew what my ex-husband was like at home. So, you know, like, that's my own perspective based on my experience. And so I like going back when I see a different perspective than what I myself believe, to see if I can see how they saw it. And
so if people ever have differences of opinions to us, please share them. We love them. I mean, there are some things.
The one thing I got after Sarah said that, and rewatching this today to do note. And we want to think about the other scene after the engagement ball where he shows up for his hat instead of sending a footman. He wants her discombobulated. He never sends a note, never sends a card, and he never sends requesting an invitation. Like, he just shows up. Which, as much as we're complaining about Benedict kind of bumping into Sophie all over the house, you know, like just being where she's going to be, that's very similar. Like, he doesn't give her a chance to say no. He just shows up. Now, granted, she could say no and she doesn't, but he also doesn't give her time to prepare.
So
doesn't give her time to dig about him, because, you know, she'd be sending her servants out like to find out what his favorite.
One of the things that I've kind of mused out since Sarah said that, and I'm still currently on the vibe of, I think Lord Anderson is genuine, but they can always play things out however they want. So I will play devil's advocate and look at all the different things that I do see. And one of the things that I mentioned to Sarah is the fact that Lord Anderson, I mean, for the calling cards, he has come from Sierra Leone, where customs are very different. And then when he moved to England, he lives in the countryside where things are a lot less proper there. And he may just be a little rusty or not know the etiquette because he hasn't been taught it, because he moved from Sierra Leone straight to the country. Because it seems like him and his sister have not seen each other in years, because they haven't aired out their childhood grievance. So I don't think that they have seen each other.
No.
So I think he went straight to the countryside and therefore, yes, may not have proper etiquette. But one of the things that I was
Well,
kind of
he
thinking
met
out,
his wife in town because he said the last time he was in town was when he met and married his.
but very interesting that he didn't resolve things with then.
Well, I mean, they might have, I mean, she might not have been ready to even talk to him, but knew what it would mean for the ton to get him married because he obviously has a title, right?
Yes, but that's one of the
That's
things that I was like musing out is the fact that Lord Anderson has come to Grosvenor Square, right? Lots of people who come to the Ton for part-time or whatever rent out their own estates, right? Keep in mind, so if Lady Danbury was a princess in Sierra Leone and he was the brother who would therefore inherit title, doesn't necessarily mean he would have been king. She would have been princess probably in the way that Beatrice and all that, like the sister of.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm assuming. But still, he would have been a prince, right? Therefore, he would have been potentially one of the utmost wealthiest in Sierra Leone, and therefore would be able to rent his own estate when he comes to London rather than staying with his sister, whom he was not on good terms with. But he continues to stay there even when she makes it blatantly clear that he is not wanted there, that everything that he does is irksome to her. He continues to stay there rather than getting his own estate. And one of the things that I mused out was, I wonder whether he has run out of money, and that is why he wants to marry Violet, who is known to be one of the wealthiest of the Ton. Now, I don't...
Well, and I'll say this, because he definitely has his own drawing room in season 4. That is not Lady Danbury's drawing room. I personally think that he did let his own house. They just don't talk about it because from episode 7 on, like when he clears the air with her, he shows up and the footman let him in. And we mused before that we thought that was just into her private drawing room, but I'm thinking it's into the house because she even at the end says, I got to talk to the footman. They can't just be letting anyone else would be coming to the door. He was the only one possibly staying. So I think he showed up. I think he'd had his own place at that point.
Okay. I'm just playing devil's advocate here of like looking at.
Yeah, I just think that wasn't, lazy writing. They never made mention of him finding his own place, and they should, right?
I also wonder whether he abdicated by coming to England. Otherwise, would they not refer to him as Prince of Sierra Leone?
Yeah, but remember, England occupied, like Sierra Leone became one of they colonized it. So
yes, but all the previous princes that were still recognized as
down there in Sierra Leone, but in England they were given titles by the king and queen so that they could integrate into English society should they so choose. But they lost a lot of their privileges in Sierra Leone because England now ruled. They didn't rule anymore. It's kind of what England did when they colonized, like India too. India had whatever their ruling class was, they were able to become titled in English society.
I just find it very interesting that he opted to live in the countryside, I guess.
I think there's something about that though. But we find out in season 4, like some people do just prefer the country. But most people move to the country because of something about them that ostracizes them from London society.
Yeah. I just sort of wonder whether Lady Danbury...
Aunt Joanna and why she lives in Wales.
I'm just wondering whether in 5 Lady Danbury will discover more about her brother on her path. I'm trying to put it vaguely. I love that as Lord Anderson comes to the house and Violet and Marcus are just so awkwardly cute together that Mrs. Wilson kind of...
Mrs. Price,
her facial features are so funny. Like she's trying to keep it together like, oh, these two cute little sausages. Like they're so awkward together. This is adorable.
She makes me think of Violet watching her children across the ballroom is Mrs. Wilson watching her employer date for the first time in 20 years.
So I was actually really surprised at how candid Violet was about being at odds with Francesca and the fact that she was secretly engaged. Like, she's definitely treating Lord Anderson already like a spouse or a partner where you share whatever information you have with them, and how she's kind of explaining what's going on in her life. And I'm at odds with my daughter because of the situation, and I need to resolve these things first before we can pursue anything or even consider whether I'm ready to pursue anything.
Oh, I think she very much info dumps at the beginning, but we get a lot of, we see it more in season 4, I think, but I've come to understand that Francesca's neurodivergence stems straight from Violet. We named the kids in alphabetical order. Well, your father and I thought that was really. And then you can tell here, Violet does not like not being prepared for a caller. She's flustered, she's discombobulated, and I think she info dumps in the beginning because she's nervous, and then she reins it in, and she gains control, and she kind of puts him in his place, like, hey, if you're going to show up here and you're going to interrupt my afternoon and not give me time to prepare for your visit, I'm going to call you out, sir.
You know what it also kind of reminds me of, though? The fact that you can speak so candidly with a partner, but with her children and everyone else, she's always speaking in these riddles, right?
She kind of riddles him, but he understands
it. She puts a lot of it pretty plainly. Until it's about his own stuff, and then she speaks more inadvertently.
That's what I'm saying. She riddled it because she didn't say my affairs.
Yes.
She said the affairs, and then said, because I'm not the only one with affairs that need tending. You know, and I think that's where she was putting him in his place. But yes, it does strike me interesting that she can so easily, I mean, even Lady Danbury, like she opens up to Lady Danbury, which when you have a female bestie, that's but she opens up to him like, and that's why I worried, like I thought about it being info dumping because she was nervous, because she needs something to talk about. So she brings up Francesca and then kind of is like, ooh, maybe that's not the right audience.
I think it's sort of one of those being in a relationship. I mean, somebody info dumps on you, but isn't in a relationship, right? Like, you know, when you're in a relationship and it's just getting to share the mundane aspects of everyday life with them. It's finding out information, and that's the person that you want to share it with first, right? That is your person. And I think it's one of those moments where she's coming to terms with potentially moving on from the great love of her life and realizing these are the little moments that she has missed, is having someone to, because she can't speak plainly with Mrs. Wilson. Like, those two aren't sitting down and having gossip sessions together. Like, Mrs. Wilson knows everything, but not because Violet has shared it with her, but because she sees it with her own two ears. I see everything with my ears.
Well, and like what you're saying about how you know have you ever seen Survival? Do you have that on your Netflix?
Yes.
So like
she took the toilet. I would too, babe.
The season 2 where, you know, she realizes she misses, I can't think of his name right now. And she tells them, like, when I have something good that happens to me, if I don't get to tell him, it's almost like it
doesn't feel real.
Didn't happen. I can't be excited about it because I didn't get a chance to tell him. And I'm like, you know, that is true. Like, and a lot of times, and I think here, Violet feels attraction for him, but she doesn't realize that she's already seeing him in like that partner role, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like how everybody says Colin's obtuse. I think Violet is a little obtuse here, where she's so focused on her poor garden that she's not seeing an actual partnership, you know, somebody worthy of a partnership, and not just being her garden, which is why we have what we have in season.
Yeah, because like she's been doing it on her own for so long that like I think she's forgotten not the joy, but like the amount of weight that comes off your shoulders by being able to bear that burden with someone else rather than everything just being on your own two shoulders. And not that I think that she would allow Lord Anderson to kind of meddle in her children's affairs in the way that she does Lady Danbury, but I think just having a sounding board, you know, it is such a relieving thing, and she does it here without even realizing it.
And what's great is, and this is a mark in Lord Anderson's favor, is, I mean, you've had those conversations, I'm sure, in relationship where you're talking about something, you're excited about something, and they're not having a bar of it, and they cut you off, right? They shut you down. He doesn't. He loves hearing her talk, wants to hear about her day, and he might not even give a rip about Francesca's problems or whether the queen is going to, you know, say they can get married or not. But he knows it's important to her, and he's letting her talk it out. Well, like, he doesn't go, look, that's not why I'm here. I need another piece of cake. You know what I mean? Like,
let us eat cake and drink tea.
Where's my tea,
please?
Oh, did you see little bit of Bridgerton. Did you see the thing where the guy who plays Lord Anderson posted a picture of himself drinking tea?
No.
Had a cup of tea, and Yerin Ha commented on it.
Yes,
she goes,
yes. Sorry.
Is that the color of that tea? Lavender. Like that. She's fully immersed in the Bridgerton cast. Like she's
I
trolling them on
adore Yaren. She
social
is
media.
hilarious. But I do think that she acts so young, not in a bad way. She acts so young. And Luke is such an old soul that that's why people are getting this big age gap when there's not actually one. I mean, there is an age gap, but not a drastic one.
Well, and he's super introverted. So being an old soul and introverted makes him come off even older, I think, than he actually is.
He's very cerebral, as you've said in the past.
Yeah.
Like, and she is like full Aussie, young, I don't want to say young.
Oh, she brings it out of him, though. Have you seen, like, where he makes the coin purse comment? Like, that cracks me up because he's dirty-minded and he pulls that out and she is confused. She doesn't know what he's saying at first and then she gets it. Oh, that one.
Yeah. No, I actually loved interviews with them, but my favorite is Yaren and Posey doing any TikTok challenge together is probably my favorite things on the internet at the moment. Those two are just TikTok queens.
Yeah, she's done a lot. I've seen quite a few more now with Hyacinth. She has one Ella and Hyacinth. Mm-hmm. So like those are two.
Okay, so we get to see another Bridgerton being obsessed. Like I'm thinking this is just a whole family genetic kink. Like this is something bred into these people. Like loving to watch their love interests eat. Let them eat.
Well, we don't see Anthony do it, so I really, like what I'm about to say might be controversial, but so Daphne watched Simon eat ice cream, and we see Violet watching Lord Andrew eat a little tea cake. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like a Bridgerton ladies kind of thing, except Colin loved watching Pen lick icing off. And I think that that plays into him being a wife guy, like rather than being an alpha type male, he's a beta.
I think we got the more equivalent, like not same scene, but like I think we were all still drooling over the wet t-shirt competition that Anthony went in.
Well, yeah, that was Kate on Anthony admiration though.
But I mean,
like I would have loved having he was a sniffer though, which we have seen that in all three.
It's like so creepy, but also unhinged in the best kind of way. Like,
well, and I'm down for it because I am begging to see a woman love interest just bury her face in a piece of clothing of her man because like I'm in love with a man. I love his smell. And yes, I have had conversations where I hug someone and I breathe him in and I'm like, yes. Or he'll be like, are you? Yes. And he's like, good thing I showered. So
I don't know why. I just really enjoyed the smell. Yes. So smell is actually our strongest memory. What do you call it? Like it is the one that triggers our memories the most. Smell. Maybe taste. You're right there, Patty. Patty has.
It went down the wrong pipe. No, I took a drink and it went down the wrong pipe at the wrong time.
Patty didn't make it to 50. Patty's just avoiding.
My dad had a real fear. I remember it as a child. My dad did not think he would make it to 50. And now here I am almost 50 with
all
a couple
right,
days
Anthony.
to go. Well, no, my dad, seriously. And there's a psychological term for it. Mm-hmm. But I don't have that issue. I never did. But you saying that like right now made me think of that. It's like, no, let's not. I'm going to make it. Only got a couple days. I'm going to make it.
I'm almost there. Almost
but
there.
What I was going to say is, our olfactory system builds memories the most. If you've ever seen Someone Like You with Ashley Judd and Hugh Jackman and Greg Kinnear. Mm-hmm. It came out in 2001. It was like somebody said, hey, I love the soundtrack to Bridget Jones. Mm-hmm. Let's make an American movie with the same soundtrack. It has almost the identical soundtrack, but it's a different movie. Mm-hmm. But it's so good. And she ends up breaking up with somebody and gets really sad over it. And she just goes nuts on researching, like she hyperfocuses on researching the erotic nose brain, that connection between your olfactory system and creating memory. So made me think of that. That's a good movie too. If you want to see it, Someone Like You.
I do actually feel for Lord Anderson because even in season 3, not that I'm going into this season, but even in season 3, like she's constantly moving the end goal. The goalpost. Yeah. She's constantly moving the goalpost of, like I'm not unopposed to, exploring things with you. Like, what a way to let a guy down. Like, I'm not unopposed. Like, I'm not excited about it, but like, I'm not unopposed.
She's like I'm not uninterested.
Like uninterested. That was a like, but I was like, man, if I'm like, hey, are you like interested in seeing where this goes? And a guy's like, well, I'm not uninterested, and I'm like, Jesus, way to
It's like
make
in
me
the
feel
stag
like a
scene.
10.
And it's the same episode, so it's basically the same head writer for that episode, but in the stag scene where they're like, your mother doesn't like me. My mother doesn't not like you.
Yes. Violet's just very unaffected by anyone who apparently isn't Simon, but like fair because King Simon.
Well, and to be fair here, like, yes, she keeps moving the goalposts, but like I said, I feel like we've seen what Violet can do when she has time to prepare for something, like the milfoy for Lord Samadani, and
Yes.
all of the cakes and everything for the suitors in
But that's because
Daphne's
it's
season.
not for herself.
It might not be because it's not for herself, but she's a planner and she likes things a certain way. And he constantly is just showing up. Like,
you know what I feel?
I think he's afraid of no. I think he's
Yeah.
afraid he's going to hear no and she's going to turn him down. So he just shows up like, I'm going to surprise her. We'll see how this goes.
You know what I feel like? I feel like I have had my great love of my life. I don't even want to explore that aspect of life again. I want to have my fun now, but I do not want a husband.
But that's not fair to him because from his very first stated conversation,
that's what I'm saying. She wants her cake and to eat it too. She wanted to keep him on the hook so that he would be a fling for her, but she did not want him to replace Edmund. I think she was okay with him being a dalliance, but not a replacement for Edmund, and she thinks by marrying him that she's going back to being a wife. Because I'm like, your stuff with Francesca concluded essentially, and then Francesca's husband died, but that was a whole year later. Like, this man has been courting her for a year now. That is a long
over
time.
A year. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Over a year. Like, because he turned up in episode 1 or 2, 3, 2, very early on. He turned up very early on in the season. And like,
they weren't courting necessarily. He was pursuing her. And
yes.
Honestly, it cracks me up that in
but
season
from episode
4,
5 onwards, they were a thing, a full-on thing. Like, he was at her family soiree.
He was invited, but again, you said there were other outside people, and not all family members noticed that they were attached at the hip. But most of her family, although I think all of these conversations in season 4, they're just like, yeah, he's been around. You know what I mean? Like, the kids noticed.
And someone who's been around for an entire year. Like, you're gonna notice that.
But she thought she was keeping him a secret. That's where I was going with it, because I've been that person. I dated someone for 6 months that he didn't want to tell his parents because I wasn't their religion.
But
I felt like she thought it was a secret, but everybody else knew what was going on. And she came to realize everybody knew what was going on, and that scared her. She wasn't being as discreet as she thought, and she wasn't ready to publicize herself out on the mark, right?
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't want people to think she's getting back out there because she's not really ready.
Like,
but that's not fair to him, because he has said from the get-go, I intend to take a wife.
She is very, very lucky that Penelope is so fond of her, because Lady Whistledown should have been writing about the fact that Lady Bridgerton or Dowager Lady Bridgerton has been seen all about the ton, Grosvenor Square, Rotten Row, private soirees on multiple occasions. Lord Marcus Anderson has been seen courting Dowager Lady Bridgerton. Like, it should have been reported. And it's kind of crazy that she doesn't, because you know how she's like, you know how sometimes she'll report on herself in a demeaning way because she's like, it would be odd if I didn't. How did people not pick up? How did the Queen not pick up? And I think that's another thing that
Queen didn't know anything unless she got it from Whistledown, because she is isolated in the castle. And Danbury's not going to say anything. And I think that's how Danbury kind of figured out it was her.
That's what I say.
Because of what was omitted.
It should have been stated. Like, they weren't subtle about it realistically. So it was kind of surprising that they didn't bring attention to that fact. But I do really, really feel for him, the fact that she keeps moving this goalpost instead of just being honest with him of this is what, and that's the thing. You can have whatever, like if you're only ready for a relationship, state it. If you're ready for marriage, state it. If you're only, in a place to be dating,
and that's the thing,
state
though.
it.
I
But
think
be
she
honest
doesn't
about your
know.
intentions.
I think she doesn't know. I think she thinks she's ready, but she's not sure. And she keeps going back and forth because grief isn't linear. And that even
Yes.
gets said in season 4 because of what happens.
Yes.
Grief isn't linear. And I think that there's a lot of grief that she's put off because she didn't attempt to get back out there. Because we can't repair, like, anybody who watches any kind of therapy, TikTokers or content creators, you can't heal from previous wounds in relationship until you're in another. And she's put off another relationship for 20 plus.
But if this was a
she's
man
just
doing
now
it,
going to be grieving some things and healing some things.
But if we looked at this on the flip side, because, playing devil's advocate and everything, if this was a man constantly leading Violet on, the Ton would tear him to shreds. I'm not quite ready. I need to,
for maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, when it's the other way around and it's a man misleading a woman, leading her on, whatever, they absolutely get dragged for it. Whereas, because from Violet's perspective, we see it more as, she is now grieving her husband. She's learning to grieve. We see it from the empathetic perspective, but we don't see men as having the same feelings as we do. So we do not attach the same feelings to their side of it. And therefore,
and we also,
maybe are less empathetic towards them.
Honestly, we got to have a conversation with Lord Anderson about his own security. Like, I wrote that I felt he was very assertive, and and it can be seen as pushy, but I think he's just being intentional, and he is expressing his intentions. But honestly, he doesn't have the highest of esteem for himself, because he is in a relationship with a woman, a situationship with a woman for an entire year that is not public. Like, they meet in public, but she's looking around to see who's looking all the time.
She's treating him like her dirty little secret.
Yeah. And as somebody who's been the secret, it's not fun.
It's not. And it's not kind. And I actually, we will talk about that when we get up to season 4.
That's why I only got to 6 months. Like, I can't believe he has gone on for this long.
In a time period where you were supposed to be married within months of courtship.
Right.
So,
there were some long engagements, but those usually had a big problem to them, like an entailment or a dowry is caught up. Like, it can't be used until a certain age. Yeah.
Yes. Same as Philippa and Finchy, there were issues that they had a long engagement and a split engagement, whatever. But I do like the fact that she did feel comfortable enough in stating to him. And I don't know whether this was Violet being like, I don't know how obtuse you are, but, like, you got issues with your sister. Did you know about them? Like, it kind of felt a little bit like that. Like, I'm not sure if you noticed, but she's pissy with you. Please fix it.
That was deflection, though. I think
yes,
she felt put on the spot. She felt out of her element. He surprised her. And he's so assertive and so intentional and pointed. And we know that Violet struggles with that kind of language, that she had to deflect and put something back on him, like make him uncomfortable in a way, so that they were on an even playing field.
No, I think it's very much that she loves and respects Lady Danbury, and she would never do anything to jeopardize that friendship, because she really is a tits over dicks kind of a person. And if he wasn't going to, enjoy my vernacular out there, people, I'm sure that's definitely not going to get us privated for a fourth time.
Well, no, and I have something written similar. I think that, part of it was to, kind of discombobulate him, because he seems so put together and she's a nervous mess. But I did put, Violet asked Lord Anderson to fix his shit because she cannot hurt her friend. Yeah. And I love that her standing up for Lady Danbury when Lady Danbury's not in the room is just girl squad energy. Like, it's so awesome.
Yeah, it was very much your sister's relationship means so much to me that I will not jeopardize. So either you fix this or we cannot pursue anything. So I need things to be in order before we can even consider them, which is fair. Like, I think it was fair, but it was the fact that she goes from this to, as I said, the goalpost just keeps moving. And I can understand why one would get frustrated with that when you're in a time period where things are supposed to be done a certain way. But
so that's like a proposition like Benedict and Tilley. So these side stories kind of have a theme to them. Like, we can't move forward unless this happens.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the ultimate gaslighter themselves. Araminta Cowper. I have so many this is actually the part that I have the most notes on, because Jesus Christ, she is a whole ass human being. Let me tell you that much.
Well, and I just want to start, like, we have seen season 4 now, and I've been saying this almost through this whole analysis of season 3, that Cressida Cowper is a Barbie girl. She loves her pink, and when she is in full-on pink, she is happy. And when you can tell her mental state and her state of depression changes with how muddled that pink becomes. And anywhere, whenever her dress becomes like a pink and black mixture or pink and other dark colors, you know she's going through it. And this dress is
come
very
on,
much
Barbie,
pink.
let's go. You can't bring up things that you know I'm gonna get stuck in my head. This is your own fault. Just putting it out there. I'm not gonna gaslight you.
Anyways, like, this dress tells you that she's going through it. Like, she's been staring at that mirror how long, because her dress is not 100% pink. Sad.
She is. So
she's depressed Barbie.
Araminta comes in and tells Cressida that Aunt Joanna is on her way to fetch Cressida and take her to the country, and that she will be here in 2 weeks. Like, so in the past, when Araminta has been conversing with her daughter about the marriage mart, about the missteps of Lady Whistledown, whatever, she has shown some sort of remorse as to exacting her father's punishments and consequences, right? Like, you can tell that Araminta she's kind of thrown Lord Cowper under the bus several times, like it's his doing, it's his. Yes. This time, I feel like she's kind of showing her true colors here, because this time she comes in and she seems pissy with Cressida. She seems like she is punishing Cressida. And I'm wondering what consequences there were for Araminta for her to finally show her true colors to her daughter like this. She was going to get sent to the countryside too. Well, I took it as she was coming in, like, I'm sure you've seen those scenes or had those situations where somebody goes, no, I'm going to give you the pleasure of giving this information when it's not great information. Just your boss is saying you got to give it. And, and that's like, you know what, I've actually refused. Cowper, I think Lord Cowper is like, you're going to go tell her this. And she's pissed about that at first. But Cressida is starting to realize her mother's involvement. Like, all this time, she's been throwing Lord Cowper under the bus, but she's like, stop this. You can stop this. You can say you want me here. You can say I shouldn't leave. And she's calling her mother out. And that's really when Araminta's colors come out, like, because she's got to save herself. And there's consequences. Nobody wants to go to my boss wants us to be rude to someone on behalf. And you want me to be rude, do it yourself, not going to. Like, and that's the thing. If you really don't want to, you will find a workaround. Like, you can give information without it being rude and cruel, but that is not what Araminta is doing right now. She is saying this in a way that's going to hit hardest. You are going to the country. She says it angrily, like, not angrily, but like there is a note of cruelty to her voice. Like a dun dun dun, like you have one just left. Yeah, it was very much like a foreboding kind of conversation. And yes, Araminta does say she can't help her or she will be banished to the country too. But this is where Cressida reminds her that her mother was also complicit and they did this together. But Araminta pulls Narc 101, like absolutely Narc 101 here, and blames the entire affair on Cressida making friends with Eloise, as if that had anything to do with the failure of the paper. The paper failed because Araminta went after the Bridgertons. She even states, she says the line, Lady Whistledown mentions them so often that it would have been odd not to mention them, right? Which is the exact statement. Which is true. Which is the exact statement that Penelope uses to Colin. Like, so many people were talking about it. It would be odd it would be odd for Lady Whistledown not to write about it. The first part of that statement is true. It's the second part of that statement that is crap part of that. She's right. We need to write about the Bridgertons, but Penelope didn't feature the Bridgertons in a cruel way all the time. Did she call out Colin? Sure did. Did she call out Eloise a little bit? She had to protect her. But how often did she speak highly? But it was never like it was never in like this kind of gossipy airing out their dirty laundry with news that she would have known her whole entire life. Like, the things that they were talking about were things that you wouldn't just find out now. These are things that she's saying that the Ton should have noticed all along. Why would she have written that? How many years into being in the Ton with them? Like, that's the part that's not plausible.
everybody in the ton knows the Bridgerton. They know of their family. They know how prolific the family is. I mean,
the love story
first,
was
that's
a
the
big
first
part.
line we have of the Tins in the very beginning of this whole show, was that they were prolific and they had, you know, several beautiful sons and several equally beautiful daughters. Like, they have to be of the same DNA because they're all gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so the ton knows they're all related, and we see enough of their traits to know they're related. So the ton knew that part was a lie. The dubious parentage, I mean, aside from being an Easter egg that Benedict wore, it was just straight up a lie, and everybody knew it.
That sound. I love how I try to open up my camera that I step count.
Whatever you're looking for. But Araminta here is exhibiting very pointed narcissistic traits and behavior. There's the Darvo method: deflect, attack, victim.
Oh, it was Ezra's swimming pool out front. I think the wind must have picked it up and flipped it.
So like, yeah, she deflected. She deflected when Cressida turned it on her. She deflected, and then she attacked Cressida. If you had not befriended that Bridgerton girl, and then reverse victim, like victimizing herself, I'd have to go to the country too, and I have to get you back to society, yes. Kind of thing. Like, everything like, is as Cressida's if she's trying fault. To help. Yeah, everything is Cressida's fault. And then you can see just how much she wants to bring the Bridgers down a peg. Like, bringing them down a peg was icing cake, which every narcissist doesn't like feeling like someone with them in the room.
Yes.
So they want to knock down anyone that they think they feel inferior.
Yeah. And I felt like Araminta is so narcissistic that she felt Cressida making this friendship with Eloise. And I think that she was like, I thought we were in tight, and now that you're choosing someone else over me, which, I mean, when you grow up, and I think that Lord Cowper has isolated Araminta. Like, I think she's very much this is her personality, this is who she is, but she has also been hardened drastically by her environment, which is Lord Cowper. And I think that he isolated her so much. And like, for a time there, she obviously had Lady Featherington, but they weren't ever truly friends. And I kind of wonder whether she viewed Cressida as her best friend, because we don't ever see Cressida having any other friends either. And I think that Araminta relied on her daughter so heavily as her best friend. And then when Cressida became friends with Eloise, she felt pushed aside, because that's a very unhealthy parenting thing to do. You're my best friend and you can't have other friends because that's replacing me, and I should be your number one.
Because even saying she had to talk about the Bridgerton, that seems like an excuse to me. But saying she gets to knock him down a peg is what she really liked about that whole situation. Mm-hmm. And then when she goes, well, Eloise is the only person, remember, she says only person who ever showed me true friendship.
True friendship.
And then Araminta is like, well, where is she now? Like, the only person they're supporting you is me, even though I'm throwing you under the bus for my own safety.
Yes. And to go back on. Yes, because like Araminta is definitely, you know, knocking them down a peg and saying, you know, this is why I wrote about them, rah, rah, rah. And I actually think that Araminta specifically chose the Bridgerton family specifically because she felt like Eloise had taken her daughter away from her. I think that's another reason why she wrote about them. Like,
I think that is the reason she wrote about them. She made the excuse about they are always in Whistledown.
Yes. Because she's like, this is the girl that has, and she also fails to take acknowledgement of, she wasn't the one who was thrusting her daughter onto the marriage mart this season. It was always Eloise by Cressida's side for the most part. All of her interactions with Lord Debling was with Eloise by her side, but Eloise realistically gave her as good a fighting chance with Lord Debling as she possibly could by trying to give her the books on the Great Orc, you know, on trying to teach her about Northwest Passage or whatever. Like, she gave her a really good fighting chance with Lord Debling. And
Lady Cowper in previous, like in the past, you see her, I mean, she does gossip with the other ladies, but she really just mainly hangs out with Lord Cowper. But as more of their financial stuff comes out about, you know, having to cut the dress budget, you know, whatever, he's showing up in society less and less and less.
Yes.
And I think he is creating debts at the club because he's trying to make his money back that he lost in the mine.
Yeah. But if you notice, Lord Dibling, like when Cressida was taking her mum's advice at the start and trying to woo Lord Dibling on her mum's behalf, what you know what I mean by that, like
By her mom's advice, yeah.
her mum's advice, he was like, oh, what is this girl on? And didn't really have any interest in her whatsoever. But when she started kind of hanging more around Eloise and Eloise kind of teaching her the ways of an intelligent woman, a well-read woman, she actually stood a fighting chance. And if it weren't for the fact that Penelope was naturally studious, naturally well-read, all those things, she would have stood a chance with Lord Dibling if it was Eloise helping her. I think if Penelope did not exist, he would have chosen Cressida with Eloise's help.
Yes, but truly, Eloise was helping her, but who he would have liked is Eloise.
Yes.
But Eloise, because Eloise is so self-centered and doesn't understand why people don't think the way she does, she's thinking that Cressida is liking the way she thinks or whatever. But really, Cressida's using all that for Debling. So it would have been a ruse. I mean, who would have cared? She would have had an estate and Debling would be dead. But ultimately, if they would have been living in the same house, he would have felt manipulated.
Rest in peace, Orc Stuffy.
Augie the Orc. Sorry,
Augie
dude.
the Orc. Yeah, no, I just found it interesting that Araminta is so opposed to Eloise when Eloise actually gave her daughter her best chance yet since the prince, like in a good 2 years of actually making a secured match with her advice. So it's kind of funny because Araminta will sit there and blame anyone but herself. But Cressida does say perhaps she was wrong to turn on Eloise as she was the that statement was wild to me because she's saying it as if she was the one who caused the relationship to sour. Perhaps it was wrong of me to turn on Eloise. I'm sorry. What you actually mean to say is perhaps it was wrong of me to turn to Eloise because Eloise was not a true friend to me. You should not have turned to her for support because you were never going to get it there. Like, I actually felt for Cressida in this moment because she feels like I am me and no one has ever wanted to be my friend, and I finally made a friend and I turned her away because of the way that I am. And it's like, actually no, Cressida, yes, you are a little bit of an acquired flavor, but like, this wasn't you, girl. This was Eloise. Like, Eloise treated you poorly, and I do feel for her the fact that she's been treated poorly so badly by her mum her whole entire life that she cannot see a toxic relationship when it's right in front of her because she got the good sides of Eloise too. And I do feel like Eloise and Cressida did actually form a real friendship for a time, at least.
Yeah, while it benefited Eloise.
While it benefited Eloise, yes.
And I kind of took that line though. We watched Cressida's whole childhood play out there because anytime she tries to stand up for herself, her mother shoots her down, and then she repeats basically what her mother says. Like, she's now taking the blame because her mother has deflected all the blame onto her.
Her whole entire
classic
life.
Narcissistic abuse. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yes, she is the one person who has ever shown me true friendship. I do feel like it was actually true friendship, at least in the countryside. And then I think once Eloise got back to the town and started seeing Penelope again, that's when it kind of changed. But I think when they came back and we saw them, walking arm in arm, or shall I say muff and muff?
Nope, I can tell you exactly when it. When Cressida asked her. No, when Cressida at the Queen's Ball, when they're sitting in that thing, and Cressida asked her about her, and she goes, "Since you have asked," and she goes on the diatribe about women's rights and stuff. As soon as Debling got sent away because Colin interrupted the dance, Cressida no longer cared. And she wanted to run after Debling. And that right there to Eloise was like, I've lost her. I feel
like that was the ceiling, like the ceiling kiss. But I feel like the first crack in the facade was when Cressida stood on Penelope's dress and Eloise was like, oh, like, I really thought you were better than that. I thought you were changing, And I think that's when she's
see, at that point, I thought Eloise felt like she had enough that she possibly could influence Cressida.
Yes.
And help her grow. But when Cressida left, a conversation that was Eloise coded, like, Eloise is very self-centered. So she got ditched at the party for a dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, think of it like a high school dance. You're sitting there with your bestie and her crush gets crushed. And she's like, I'm going to go rescue him, and leaves you.
Or in the famous,
like,
The famous words of Taylor Swift, when your first crush crushes something kind.
Yeah, Eloise was like, you are always, always going to be boy crazy. We are not friends.
Well, I kind of see it as a little bit of a Dirty Dancing kind of a moment where it's a summer romance and it can only truly exist in the very specific circumstances
Mhm.
of where you are. But then when you put it into real life, it doesn't work anymore. And I feel like
Yeah.
their friendship, when they were isolated in the countryside and didn't have external factors, it worked. But then when they were back on the ton, where Araminta was at play, where the marriage mart, the competitiveness,
Where she's
and
seeing Penn all the time.
when she's seeing Pan and when she's seeing Cressida in marriage mode, then that's when that relationship no longer existed because it was now back in reality. And I think it was a summer romance. And it doesn't mean that summer romances are any less real. It just means that they can only exist or as the movie of the summer was, well, summer for me, winter for you, the people we meet on vacation,
Yeah.
is very much that kind of vibe. Something that works
I was
well.
thinking I was thinking Greece and summer nights. Like
Yes.
it was fun, but it's over now.
Yeah, yeah. It's all of those
Holy
vibes.
crap, Sandy, what are you
Um,
doing here?
and I hated that Sandy changed for him. That was awful. Don't be Sandy, gals. Like, don't be.
It would have been different
Do
if he
be
would have
Sandy's
showed up.
hair. That hair was fantastic. Do be Sandy's
Yes.
hair.
If he would have shown up in his letter jacket to the carnival, like that was more dorky Danny,
Yeah.
right? His dorky side. If he would have shown up in his letter jacket and not his leather, but she showed up in leather,
Luke
that would have
Newton?
been great as Danny Zuko for real.
For real. Honestly, I would lose the plot. That would be phenomenal. I mean, I don't think that movie works in 2026, but like,
No.
right, that's so hard.
But I mean, that musical works if they want to do a revival of it.
Yeah.
That musical works all the time. It's just can't be fun.
I so desperately need a Christmas special caveat to the not the Hills of Eyes, the Sound of Music, and I need all the kids going upstairs to bedtime, like goodbye, farewell,
yeah, so long, farewell, Avidas and goodbye.
Yeah. Like I need that. I don't know why I need that so badly because I mean, Bridgerton family are very Von Trapp family coded.
Yes, they're more even. Because in the Von Trapps, two boys, but yes. I mean, Colin and Gregory both could give off Kurt vibes,
Yes.
Like, goodbye. He does that high note.
Yes.
Everybody's surprised.
Yes. That was so off point. I'm so sorry. I did give you fair warning.
Hey, I'm ready to go right down that tangent lane with you. We're talking musicals and Bridgerton.
I'm sorry. I love that you
Happy birthday to me.
I love that you think that you're a willing participant, but what you don't know is that I've shackled you to my arm and I'm dragging you down. I put wheels under your feet and you weren't willing at all.
No, you held up the two best treats for me. Like, let's go down this really dark path.
Patty,
here's a little Bridgerton. Here's a little Broadway. Let's go.
But this is where Araminta says, and where is she to comfort you now? Have I not raised you to know that in this world it is every person for themselves, especially amongst women? And I think it says a lot that she does not exclude herself from that statement. And she is telling her daughter that she will always be second fiddle to Araminta. Like, I come first.
Like, I gotta choose my own safety. Yep.
I choose me. And you're out here on your own. You have no one. No one will protect you if you don't protect yourself. Right. Like she's like, I mean, it is good to raise your children to be independent, but also to know that they have people in their corner. Like there's a difference, Araminta. And the fact that Cressida replies, yes, you have, with such vehemence.
Vehemence. Yes.
I was like, vehemence. Oh, words. Vehemence. That tells me that she also knows that her mother is including herself in that. She knows my mother is not out here to protect me. My mother is out here for herself. And I was only useful to her for as good a match as she thought that I could make her. Very much like Portia. I am only as good as the social standing that I provide for her in society.
Well, and that's pretty much the role of every debutante, except in reality, it's supposed to elevate the future marriages of younger siblings if there are more siblings. Mm-hmm. But in the smaller families that we're seeing in the ton, it seems to be a way to elevate the parent, especially the emotionally immature parent. Because I mean, we even see that in season 4 with Lady Penwood, the Dowager Lady Penwood.
Yes.
She's hoping to elevate her own situation through her daughter.
Well, because if you were a dowager and that makes more sense though, because if you're a dowager and your daughter married well, then you could move into your daughter's estate, which is sort of like they had sense and sensibility. Like she was relying on one of her daughters to marry well so that she would then be provided.
I don't know if I feel like Mrs. Dashwood was like, I think she cared about her daughters finding good matches.
Yes.
In love.
Yes.
But yes, like it is known that the mother a dowager or widowed mother could go live with.
Because it was quite common for a husband not to leave enough in an estate to provide the same life that she had.
Yeah, there were entails. I mean, in all these situations, the Dashwoods and whatever, there's an entail. It has to be the male.
Yes.
And in the Penwood estate, he did leave things for his daughters, but she's the only one who saw the solicitor, so she got to manipulate that as she fit.
Yes.
You know.
But it was still illegal to not abide by. Yeah, it was illegal not to abide by. But yeah. And then just a side note before we finish up this episode, I kind of want to talk about all Cressida's outfits in the background. Like her dresses are displayed as if like she is in a modiste herself, because you know how they call it a mausoleum.
To make it, yeah. Well, I think that's supposed to be, you know, she's going to Joanna's and they've been packing and there's been don't take that. You're never going to be able to use that dress. Joanna's not going to allow that.
They were very
because
foo-foo-y.
Because the dresses that were thrown around, like I thought her bedroom set looked very Wicked coded, because the bedroom itself is in a lot of greens. And then she has one dress there that's pink and green, like the Featherington lime green almost. I would love
to see Jessica Madsen in Wicked. I think
in that dress. In Wicked, yeah. But that I don't think we saw her in that dress this entire season. I don't remember her wearing that dress.
No. And that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't recall that dress. And I kind of expected to see it in season 4 because, like, they put a lot of effort.
She's married a man who lets her wear pink all the time and paint everything pink. And she's Elle Woods.
I mean, we'll talk about that in an episode. But
yeah.
That's today.
No, we won't, because that's not for episode 4.
No. We're doing
Benofi.
Yes. For today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode. I have lost track of what I'm posting when. It might be something or something else.
Just follow the music.
Just follow the music. You'll find out when we find out, because I don't remember at this point. If you have anything... No, I will remember it one day. If you have any tangents you would like to share, please head to the Ladies Bridgerton on Facebook and YouTube. Enjoying the podcast, please click like, subscribe, and follow wherever you are listening. And I got it!
And once again, thank you for listening to the musings of 2 mad women.
Mad and literate women, sometimes. Yours truly, Tash, the expert reader, Kiwi.
And Lady Patty.